Copeland to conclude and wind up the debate on the substantive motion. Mr. Copeland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I intend to approach this matter honestly, directly, and seriously trying to avoid malice or giving offence. It is true that many people have expressed views that are individual and represent their parties in this chamber today on what is an important issue. And I thank them for their contributions, each of which I value, even though I may not necessarily agree totally with all that was said. It is true to say that Mr. David Campbell was indeed the chairman of the Maze Consultative Panel, which met in 2003 with representatives from all four parties and made a final report in February of 2005, which included an international centre for conflict transformation. That was then. This is now. I at one time served as a soldier in the Ulster Defence Regiment. My wife served as a constable in the Royal Ulster Constabulary. And both she and I are very proud of the service that we believe we gave the entire Northern Ireland population throughout that time. It is also true to say, and it's said without malice, that there are individuals and groups represented within this chamber, and perhaps even on occasions present in the chamber, that at one time, then, regretfully, would have considered me and my family and those like us as suitable candidates for murder. And I must say, without malice, in truth, that had some great misfortune befallen them, there would have been no tears shed for me at their wake. But that was then, and this is now. And things do change, and policies change, and positions change. The motion brought by the Ulster Unionist Party this morning, and I've listened to the First Minister, who I've known for many years, who agrees with the first and the concluding parts, and has issues, as he is entitled to, with the section in the middle. That this Assembly recognises the potential social and economic benefits which the utilisation of the former security sites, such as the Maze Prison, can bring to Northern Ireland. That is a no-brainer for anyone sitting in this chamber. It's self-evident. It goes on to say that it notes with concern the proposals to build a peace-building and conflict resolution centre at the site, the wording being slightly different from what Mr. Campbell apparently originally agreed to, but meaning, fair enough, much the same thing. The first words were an international centre for conflict transformation, and the second was a peace-building and conflict resolution centre. We then get to the bit and calls on the Deputy First Minister and First Minister to develop a site in a way which is practical and inoffensive to victims. I had and have concerns, and they're not concerns that are manufactured or contrived. They are mine, and they are genuine. They are based in some ways on a visit many years ago to a jail in Dublin. I can't remember if it was Kilmainham or Mountjoy. And I went in among the Americans and got the potted history of 1916. And at each cell I was told by a very nice guard, or not guard, a tour guide, this is where the British kept Mr. or Mrs. or whoever before they shot them. Cell after cell after cell. I had the temerity, knowing something of the history of this island, to ask where Mr. de Valera kept those that he shot, for they were kept in the same jail and there were more of them. And I was asked to leave. Recently, an article appeared in the press, and forgive me, my Irish is weak, Copeland Centre near Mullaghbone, funded by European peace money, where the contribution to peace on that occasion appeared to be children, dressed in camouflage, playing, if that's the right word, with RPG-7s and AK-47s, presumably in their minds doing God knows what. And that does send a shiver down the spine of those who did try to serve, who did try to remain within the law, who did try to remain fair. The issue here, Mr. Poots, I do not send my words to march in your time, sir, and I will not permit yours to march in mine. To have this centre in the hope that it prevents such occurrences happening again is desirable. Whether it be at the maze or be not at the maze, to me personally, is of little issue. Provided that the words of the First Minister, which I have no reason to doubt, that he will not permit, nor does he think the Deputy First Minister wishes this to be a shrine for terrorists. Shrines are funny things. I was called to a house in the Donegal Road 2 Saturdays ago. An 86-year-old woman and an 84-year-old man lived in it. They've both Alzheimer's. They didn't know their national insurance numbers, but they did know they'd been burgled 5 times in almost as many months. £5,000, their life savings gone. Their central heating boiler broke down a fortnight ago and they couldn't afford to fix it. Behind the door in the hall were 2 framed photographs. One was a certificate from the Chief Constable thanking the lady for intervening during an armed robbery when she sculled an armed robber with her handbag, rendering him unconscious and subject to arrest. The second was a photograph of their son, who was murdered while serving as a prison officer. That was her shrine. A house burgled 5 times, not knowing what benefits they were entitled to, and a central heating system that couldn't be fixed. Their grief is private. Their pain, private. If this centre must be built, then it must be built sensitively. And if it is built as described, I will have personally little argument. However, others have changed their positions. 26th of June 2007, Mr. William McRae spoke to the newsletter about his complete objection to the idea, albeit of a sports facility, but he goes on further on. Under no circumstances whatsoever do I accept that there should be any shrine or anything at all connected with the tragedy, heartache and heartbreak that the IRA inflicted on the people of Northern Ireland, and this must not happen. But that was then, and this is now. North Belfast DUP MLA Nelson McCausland, joining Mr McRae, Nigel Dodd, Sammy Wilson and others in the party, said, moreover, the proposal to develop a centre at the Maze was compared by Edwin Poots to German camps from the Second World War, some of which draw thousands of visitors every year. However, that comparison is also invalid. Camps such as Auschwitz serve as a reminder of the evil of fascism, and we are a warning of the depths to which men can sink. The German people have repented, not of the Nazi era, and of Auschwitz. It does not contain a Nazi version of history. That is the difference. He went on to say that on Tuesday, the 26th of June 2007, the IRA had not repented of their terrorism, and Sinn Féin will demand that their story be told in any centre at the Maze. But that was then, and this is now. I consider, Mr. Speaker and members, that you will forgive me my concern and perhaps accept the motion that we have brought forward, because the concern in many cases is real. And there will be people not living in the past, but as I've said before, with the past living in them. But an obligation falls on us to do what must be done to ensure that it doesn't happen again. If the First Minister's words are right, if the Deputy First Minister's thoughts as witnessed by the First Minister, we need fear nothing. But the concern, for me, is still there. I thank you, sir.